Women of Reddit, what do you wish was as acceptable for you to do as it is for men? Working out and looking strong. I'm 15 and I really love going to the gym, because I like weightlifting and I want to be somewhat muscular because I like being in shape, and having a more masculine frame. My school has a small gym and I'm the only girl that uses it, but the teachers say I should stop because it's not ladylike to want muscle. I don't get why we can't be strong, look strong or work out without judgment. The boys there are mostly chill with me. We see who can lift the most and they don't judge me. But some of the senior boys will tell me that I'm doing this wrong, and they'll say I'm only exercising to make my ass fat. The teacher is an older man and he always tells me to go easy because I'm only a girl and I'm not as strong as the boys. I'm in the top 3 for most push-ups. When we have competitions he tells the boys to go easy on me, but they always give it their all and are good sports. Why is it unacceptable to work out if you're a girl, you know? I have under-eye bags, not dark circles, just bags of loose skin. Think Gary Sinise. They're not darker than the rest of my face, so concealer doesn't really do much. I've always had them, they're nothing new. I'm also rather light-skinned and my hair is dark brown, which makes me look even more pale. Every shitty retail or waitressing job I had when I was in my early 20s, I was getting shit for coming to work tired. Yeah, I am tired. Tired of you telling me I'm tired. I'm just ugly. Please leave me alone. Honestly, becoming sterile seems like nobody bats an eye when a guy gets a vasectomy, but God forbid you want to stop having periods and have no desire to have kids anyway, so what's the point, right? But you have to fight with so many people asking if you're sure and that you might change your mind one day. And that's not just doctors asking that either. Edit. Based on some responses and looking at my previous wording, I realized there was some miscommunication on my part. I'm not saying guys don't get bombarded either when it comes to vasectomies, but compared to a woman trying to become sterile, a guy is much more likely to be sterile with not nearly the same pushback as a woman. Hence why I said what I said. It's nearly impossible to be voluntarily sterile as a woman regardless of getting someone else's permission or not. There is a lot more to it than that for us. Travel alone, particularly backpacking/biking/hitchhiking, sleeping rough. I've listened to young men tell of adventures they have and how you meet so many interesting people when you travel alone, and you can see so many places on a shoestring budget. But as a woman, if I tried that, I'd end up on the news as a cautionary tale for why you should never do those things. I came here to say this, and maybe just not even strictly traveling but walking around in the evening, night alone. I have been harassed far too many times walking alone. I still walk with keys between my fingers just in case. When I was little, my parents gave me a code sentence in case I was in a predicament and couldn't express I was in danger. I've used it 3 times in the last 5 years. When I mentioned it to my brother, thinking they told him the same, he had no idea to what I was referring to. On the one hand, I absolutely feel your concern, and wish the world didn't cast such a shadow over such a simple joy. On the other, I have some female friends who have done some pretty impressive solo trips, both cross-country and internationally, and thrive to tell the tales. It sucks that you have to take extra precautions, but don't give up on the dream. To me this is so complex, because the hormones from your cycle are extremely powerful and they will influence your behavior and attitude. This doesn't start or stop at a time of the month, but rather is an ebb and flow of personality traits over the course of a cycle. To me the specific problem is disparaging people or belittling people or ignoring how someone feels because of that cycle. There is no shame in having different emotions or shifting personality over the course of this cycle. We need to stop invalidating how people feel or act just because hormones can shift personalities. Roaming late nights safe and free, drinking, being loud, just enjoying without people gawking at you, and making you feel self-conscious of your body. I understand this is acceptable for women in Western countries, but it just isn't in mine. Edit. It's not about feeling safe. Women over here are not allowed to step out at nights after 8 at all, while most men are free to bike past midnights. It's just the kind of freedom I always dream about. being silly with and winding up kids. Whenever I am around my great-nephews, if I act silly with them, get them giggling, play with them, roughhouse, etc., I get lectured later on how I need to be more ladylike. Yet if my dad or brothers or the kids' fathers do the same thing, not a word is said. It's completely acceptable for a man to hold a kid upside down while they giggle and scream in delight, put the kid up on your shoulders so they can touch the ceiling, etc. But if I do it, I'm crass and causing trouble. I have also had this problem. I have had to be assertive and sometimes pushy with some of my managers as they can be forgetful. And because of this, others, mostly women, in the business decided I was arrogant and cocky. Some also assumed I am arrogant and cocky away from the work environment, when in actual fact I am downright shy. I behave the way I do at work because I needed to get the job done. Call someone on their crap or get annoyed without being called to be, get asked if it's my time of the month, or get called emotional, hysterical, earn something because of my abilities or hard work without someone saying it was because I'm female and some diversity quota had to be met, or they had to level the playing field, or that it was somehow gender-related. Be at my regular level of intelligence, sense of humor, outgoingness, etc. in social settings and not be asked to pull it back because it's too intimidating to the men. Yes, these are all things that have happened. Be at my regular level of intelligence, sense of humor, outgoingness, etc. in social settings and not be asked to pull it back because it's too intimidating to the men. This is sad. As a not insecure baby man, those are things that make someone most interesting and appealing to be around. I wonder how many women I didn't notice or disregarded because they were being non-intimidating and successfully gave me the desired impression of being more boring, dull, and subdued than they were. I'm sorry, but how does one even go about approaching someone to tone down positive traits like that because they're intimidating? Like, I'm just baffled what goes through someone's mind to do it and then speak those words. Like, first they'd have to be insecure enough to be intimidated by that and then brash enough to utter the words. How many times have that specifically happened? And is it only men who have said it or women as well? Back in primary school, I asked all my teachers what they thought of me before I graduated. Most of them would say I'm a sweet, sweet girl, but say my friend, who's a boy, that he's an intelligent young man. We've had very similar grades throughout our many years together. He's also a sweet and kind-hearted guy, so why am I not complimented on my intellect and he on his kind personality? It's tiring to see everyone not recognize people's potential BC of gender. Luckily it went way better in high school. Honestly, I've gotten shit on for spreading my legs way apart, and personally, never noticed women get much for it. But people will get on me for supposedly trying to show off my hog, when no, either my dick just needs breathing room, or my long legs aren't fitting well wherever I am without spreading apart. Especially with how society has gone with the whole don't tell us what to wear, tell them not to stare, which is entirely fair, but I don't see why it's only a one-way street. People are disagreeing with you, but I see this every day. I work as a junior doctor and the male senior doctors are treated so much better, particularly by nurses, than the senior female doctors. The male docs can pretty much get away with being a complete belle, and especially if they're attractive, whereas as soon as the female docs get a bit assertive, people will be rolling their eyes and bitching about her, or saying something like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of her, would you?" This may not be the same for every field, but it's noticeable in healthcare. Fitting that the first three responses to this only exist because people wanted to tell you how wrong you were. One of them even characterizes women as bitch, no less. What the world we live in. Bet the next few comments to mine will be something about tit for tat and women get all the sympathy they need already. As if 1. People use misandrist slurs when talking about male-perpetrated issues, and 2. They're not being extremely ironic right now. As the person delivering customer service, I IRL internally at everyone who complains, not just the women. In fact, as my service is automotive related, I find the complaints from men considerably worse. because they're far more likely to be confidently ignorant about their complaint and act as though they know more about the problem than I, the expert. They're also way more likely to be aggressive about their stupidity than the lady customers and much less open to compromise. Maybe I'm a unique case, but I'm more likely to take a woman's complaint seriously than a man's. Oh, there's a laundry list of things: needing, wanting a break from taking care of their kids, wear short, revealing clothes during the hot summer without being judged or bothered, having armpit or leg hair, be able to say no without someone expecting, demanding an explanation, not smiling. I don't get why women are always expected to smile, not wanting kids. I know guys may get some flack for this too, but it always seems like if a woman doesn't want kids, it's absolute blasphemy. Playing male sports, video games, enjoying comics and action movies casually without someone trying to drill you on every obscure detail. And for those in a managerial, boss position, doing your job, being stern and telling others to do their job, not asking them, without being labeled as a BTCH because we speak the same way guys speak to each other. I know there's more, but that's off the top of my head. Doing manual labor, hard work and enjoying it without someone making comments because of my sex. Can't tell you how many times guys have commented shit like, "You're too pretty to be doing this. Women shouldn't be getting dirty, sweating like this." I know a greater than insert office-based business here that's hiring. I overlook the "do you need help" comments because that's less sexist and more just general courtesy. But I seriously can't stand the statements that makes it seem like it's wrong for me to be doing physically exhausting outdoor work. I am not made for sitting pretty. I'm not a trophy. I like doing hard work. Stick me behind a desk crunching numbers all day and I will lose my ever-loving marbles. I enjoy moving around. I enjoy working with my hands. I enjoy being practical. I'm a father to a little girl who happens to love to joke around. The other day, she farted and thought it was hilarious and me and her cousins all started to laugh. My uncle overheard, and gently told my daughter that it's not okay for girls to think farting is funny, that it's only okay for boys to fart and burp and be gross. This is such a small thing compared to the many other advantages men have over women, but this is something I'd wish to see changed. Just as long as they're not allowed to vote or have any position of power over men, girls ought to be allowed to be funny, crude, and gross if that's what they want to be. I'm non-binary, but people see me and treat me like a woman. Given that, I wish it was more acceptable to engage in conflict without being viewed as having toxic masculinity. There's a double standard with regard to how civil a person needs to do when dealing with an issue. I would like to opt out of being pressured to be forgiving and gentle while my man friends are allowed to be upset, then walk away and stay away. And attitudes about sex in general. I was raised very conservatively, and for my sisters and I the expectation was no sex outside of marriage. The whole purity culture thing. You know, it was to the point where my parents would not talk to any of us about sex or bodily functions, and even pulled us from health class in school, which was an option, to talk to us about sex. Yeah. They told us basically nothing. Thankfully, it was a public school, so I learned what I needed from friends. My brother came along several years after us girls, and when he was off to go to college, my mom, very proudly, told me that she informed her brother about safe sex and the need to use a condom. I turned to her in utter disbelief and anger and asked why she wasn't holding him to the same standards that she was holding us girls to. Her answer was, "It's harder for boys to be abstinent because they have different hormones that make it difficult for them to say no." Being able to do the first move without getting judged. If I am the one to approach a guy first, it has often turned out worse than just doing nothing. It is either that the guys think I'm easy or desperate or that something is wrong with me. And also the way good looks are seen. Good-looking women are seen as dumb, whereas handsome men are automatically seen as put together and successful. I have two brothers and I'm the only girl. My brothers can eat whatever they want, whenever they want, and they can eat a lot and no one says a thing. But if I want to do the same thing, I'm being unhealthy and eating too much and I need to watch what I eat like. I have a fast metabolism and I want to enjoy that while I can. I'm a teenage girl and a healthy weight for my height. What's wrong with me eating the same thing my brother does? Have sex with whoever I want without being called a slut. It's always okay for men to do it. Have big calves. Thanks to my mom's side of the family, I am one of those girls with thick calves. It's so not feminine and I used to be made fun of for having thick calves. Mind you, I'm not obese. Talking like a sailor. I've had guys tell me they don't like me cussing since I should be a sweet girl. Sit alone in public minding your own business. I can't tell you how many times I've just been trying to read a book or eat lunch and some random dude comes and decides to join me in attempt conversation when I'm clearly involved in my own private activity and display no signs of wanting to be approached. I get that some people are just trying to be nice, but a lot of people assume that if a woman is alone somewhere she's lonely, which is not the case most of the time. Do my hobbies and interests and adventures have them be taken for what they are and not be seen as the girl version of that thing, a girl doing that thing, basically being default? It's not a skill thing since people who got to know me would recognize my skills and not categorize them, but before people know you they assume things. Even just the idea of going on an adventure becomes a woman going on an adventure and having to be wary and cautious. It's not like just a person going on an adventure. No matter what you decide to do what makes you happy. I vaguely remember being young and caring what others thought, and I can tell you from experience, the sooner you move past that the better. Somebody else's opinion of you isn't going to make your life better or happier. The only thing that makes you happy is doing what you want. What makes you happy? If somebody doesn't like where you take your life for your happiness, it's just time to part ways with them. You've got one life. Live it for you and later your kids if you have any. That's it. Make yourself, and later kids if they happen, happy. Don't spend precious time worrying about what others like or don't like. You're moving ahead with your life in a direction that makes you happy. They can come along for the ride and be happy supporting you, or they can go the fuck back home while you move forward without them. Dude, one of my biggest regrets is not being an exotic dancer as a young woman. I did similar things but damn I never could dance well enough and yeah, terrified of being judged. The only thing I would say is, invest your money. As someone who used to make easy money I have to say, easy come easy go. Very easy to get sucked in by the money. I wish I had invested some of it. Swear and make dirty jokes, lift and carry things for myself, open my own doors, you know, things that are somehow socially acceptable for teenage boys but terrible for women somehow. Just as backstory, I am a female supervisor in a male-dominated field. I have the occasional chauvinistic type A jerk that can't handle me, but most of my men respect me because I'm really good at my job. Even so, I get men who are often off-put by my language, my humor, and my willingness to carry my own things and open my own doors. Somehow, for those of you complaining about being called a bitch for being in leadership positions, just don't act like one lol. You wanna be treated like a man? Do your job just as well and ignore the chauvinistic asshole who refuses to respect you. Your skill and talent will shine through eventually unless you are in a toxic workplace. Losing your patience and yelling at people will make you weak regardless of gender. When I was 21 years old, my girlfriend was 32. I was pissed she felt we had to keep it secret because God forbid a woman date a younger guy. If the ages were reversed, I wouldn't have gotten any crap for it. Also, being a single parent, a guy who's a single parent is so brave and hardworking. A woman who's a single parent is probably some slut who tried to get child support payments from a guy until Maury declared he was not the father. Going to a music concert by myself without having to bring a wingman, without a fear of what would happen if you went alone. More of a preference than an action, but larger pockets in pants. I have seen guys put literal water bottles in their front pockets, and sometimes girls' pockets are so small you can't put a phone in. The pockets are oddly placed. The pants are just sewn to look like they have pockets, but in fact there are no pockets at all. No pockets whatsoever. Not having to shave or wear a bra, not a problem for me anymore. but wearing a tank top all throughout grade school. Steve can wear a muscle shirt where you can almost see his nipples, but Sally can't wear a tank top, and heaven forbid if you see a bit of a girl's shoulder, bra strap, or stomach.